and then there is renewal or rebirth. So we need to do the endings first. We need to recognize that there are endings. Whenever we're in a transition, there's something that's ended, and oftentimes that can be hard to recognize, particularly if it's something we're moving toward that we've chosen. Maybe there's a new job that is great, and we can't wait to get started. We get started, and then all of a sudden we find ourselves kind of blasé, or a little bit confused, or anxious, or a little depressed, and it doesn't make any sense, because this is everything I've wanted. I wanted this great new job, now here I am. Well, often it's because we forget that we had to say goodbye to the first job, and the people there, and all the things there that were part of our day, all the routines we had there, all of the familiar people there, whether we liked them or didn't like them, became part of who we were for that period of time, and provide mirrors to us that tell us who we are and reinforce who we are. And so all of that's gone suddenly, and no wonder then there's sort of this disconcerted feeling. So identify what it is that has been lost, and do what you need to do to grieve that, to let that go. We identify with those things in our environment. I remember one time moving from one community to another, and I was excited about the move, but I jumped the gun, and 6 months before we moved, I started driving up to this new community and joined this club in the neighborhood, in the new neighborhood, and thinking, I'm ready to get going. And really I just did things backwards, and it actually complicated things, because I wasn't really connecting with the people I needed to say goodbye to, and go through that process of saying goodbye and letting go. The neutral zone, this time in between, is a very, very important time. And Bridges calls it the neutral zone. And it's a time when you feel disconnected from your past, and nothing feels quite solid anymore, and the future is still unclear. So it's a confusing place to be. It can be very uncomfortable. It's a kind of emptiness, and often that's very frightening to us. So we tend to avoid that and want to get through it and get to the other side as quickly as we can. But this is actually a desert time, in the sense of the emptiness of the desert being, again, a place of a mystical place, a place where we're actually receptive, open. We can be, there can be, just like a fallow field, or just like the soil under the winter snow, there's actually a lot of regeneration, preparation going on for what's going to come next. And so it's very important to allow that time to happen, and to surrender to the emptiness, not to try to escape it. I'm in this right now, this period with the empty nest. Our youngest son just went off to college this past fall, and I thought that I was ready for this, because we had waited a long time for this freedom. We have, our oldest son is 29, and we have grandchildren, and we have one who's 26, and then we have this 19-year-old. So there was a big age gap, and I had been a parent for 30 years, and I was getting a little tired, and I thought, this is going to be great. Can't wait for this freedom. So the first few months were fabulous. I had a wonderful time. And then after Christmas, I just tanked and felt very anxious, kind of down in the dumps, very confused, and I couldn't get into any kind of rhythm. You know, I used to spend all day Saturday doing laundry and chores, and it was like there wasn't that much to do. So some days I'd be sort of walking around the house with not much to do, and what do I do next? And then the next day I'm like overloaded and super busy, and then I was really irritated. Like, where's the freedom? And so it's been very, very confusing, and the temptation, of course, is to fill it all up with activities. And it's really hard not to do that, to just kind of let myself live into this new space and gradually try to find that rhythm. I know it will come. William Bridges says, when your wheels are spinning on loose gravel, you need more weight. What does that mean? I think he's saying lean into it. Lean into the emptiness. Lean into this desert time. Well, how do we do that? He has some very helpful suggestions, I think, for how to do that. He says, embrace the emptiness. First of all, find a regular time and place to be alone. If you're in the middle of a transition time, build some time into your schedule for alone time, for reflection. Secondly, he recommends journaling, because it can help you tune into the internal signs and the signs around you that may already be sort of beginning to show up, that may kind of point you toward what's next. But if we're so busy trying to skip over this time, we may not recognize the signs. He suggests we write our autobiography. Seeing where you've been can help you see where you're headed. And our past is always changing based on where you stand now at this point in your life. Number 4, think about what would be unlived if your life ended today. And that can help you think about what's important to you. Think about your priorities in this next phase of your life. And then he suggests creating your own rite of passage by going away for a few days or months or whatever makes sense for you. A lot of people do this instinctively. In a time of transition, they'll go on a backpacking trip or go traveling or go somewhere they've never been before or go to a retreat center. And it's almost like people are doing this kind of rite of passage, going to this no place where they are nobody and they don't know anybody. So they're kind of, temporarily breaking those ties and those familiar cues that tell us who we are, so that they can be more receptive and open to what's new. And he says, when you go away, pack lightly. Don't take a lot of entertainment with you. Don't have any assignments. This is not the time to write your autobiography. It's just the time to be attentive. Just to be attentive. If you feel excited, feel excited. If you feel sad and lonely, be sad and lonely. If you feel bored, be bored. Just be attentive, and something will come. Something will happen. You're allowing things to begin, that regeneration to begin to come to the surface. When we're ready to make a beginning, then it's as though we're aligned with something in the universe, with God, of course. And we begin to find opportunities. The transition process involves an inner realignment and renewal of energy. And then, when people are aligned and ready for something new, they can have tremendous momentum and tremendous energy and overcome all kinds of obstacles in getting where they're going. It's as though the form that I call my life had to return to this pure energy state, to take a new shape and gain new momentum. Return to creation, in a sense. But it's not a comfortable process. I'll talk a little bit about some other parts of my own vocational journey. In the last 3 years, I mentioned that I had kind of thought about, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with my seminary degree. And from time to time through my career, I mean, I enjoyed my career and my work as a therapist, always trying to incorporate spirituality into it. And from time to time, I felt like there's something missing, and I would feel this call to ministry, to pursue that again or revisit that in some way. And a couple times in my life, I did that to some degree or the other, and kind of most of the time that just looked like kind of bringing more spirituality into my work as a therapist and finding some ways to work with that more directly in that context. And that was good. And then about 3 years ago, I felt this really stronger call to formal ministry, to ordained ministry, and entered a formal discernment process with a denomination. And that was about a 2.5-year process. At the end of that process, the decision that came back to me was, we're not sure what to tell you. We're not sure. We think you need more time, and we need more time. And so they sent me away to take basically more time for discernment. Well, I had been discerning this for 2.5 years. I wasn't getting any younger, and I was outraged and indignant. How could they not want me? And after I got past some of those initial responses and started kind of opening myself up again, right around that time came this opportunity to be the Visitation's Companions Coordinator. Now, I had been involved with the Visitation Monastery for probably 14 or 15 years, and had always wanted to be more involved in some way, and had been thinking, well, when our kids are finally gone, then I'll have more time. And somehow, in my mind, the ministry call had not connected with that, because I pictured myself investments, and I was very drawn to sacraments, and I had preached in various contexts, and I wanted to continue preaching. I felt a strong call to preach, and I felt a strong call to the sacraments. And so, it seemed like that, initially it seemed like that was kind of shut down, and as I stepped into the call, the invitation to become the coordinator of the Companions, it's just become clearer and clearer to me that priests don't always wear vestments, and that sacraments are waiting to happen all around us. We did a ceremony of commissioning for new companions at our retreat on Saturday, and we forgot the oil. And we usually do a little anointing of people. And I thought, well, next time I'm going to anoint them. I'm going to do that. And I feel called to do that. And I just, it's interesting how my sense of priesthood has broadened out, I think, and how perhaps that dang discernment committee got it right for all the wrong reasons. For all the wrong reasons, but maybe they got it right, and I feel very blessed to be doing what I'm doing. So I don't think I would have realized that without the rejection, and without taking some, you know, that much time for discernment. And so maybe I'll leave it there. And
Wow, that's nice. Thank you, Jody.
you're welcome.
She retired next door. So once we get a few